Auto insurance can all seem the same until it comes time to use it. So don't get stuck paying more for less coverage. Switch to USAA Auto Insurance and you could start saving money in no time. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
USAA.
Hi, and welcome back to Realistic Sustainability. And this time, I am here with Nick.
Oh my gosh, I know. The first one in like 2 years almost without me. I was heartbroken, distraught, frustrated, angry. Mike, you left me out.
I did, and I did for like 2 weeks. So we had one replay where we had my speech at MDA because you and I told everybody ahead of time, it's my fault. I have had a terrible schedule and I can't seem to synchronize correctly. I know your windows of time and I could not make them. And then the same thing happened the following week. And that is after we had, well, I think we had 2 or 3 shows built up. So we really haven't had this conversation in what feels like forever.
It has been a minute, and I'm telling you, at first I'm like, well, he's going to get someone to fill in. And then it became, he's going to get someone to fill in. And then I was like, he is going to get someone to fill in. I pouted and kicked the can across the room. And yeah, it's been a minute, and I'm jealous, but I'm happy to be back.
We are happy to have you back.
You're damn right. You darn right you are. Number 2 for the books. Great.
Did you just swear again?
I did. Lucky number 2.
I'm telling you, I'm going to have to switch this. This is just not child appropriate.
It probably isn't tonight. I'm sorry. I didn't, and to be honest, this one is not child appropriate because this episode's full of spoilers.
It is. It is. So, hey, if you have children listening, just remember this episode is another one of Nick's Unsustainable holiday series, Easter. So
That's
remember
right.
that. Don't leave it for the kids.
You cried at Halloween. You were distraught at Christmas, but here I come to ruin your dreams again.
Well, before we get into that, how the heck have you been?
I've been good. I've been busy. I am in the process of trying to get a handle on this year before it runs away from me because this season is going to be crazy. But I've been good. I'm also kind of ripping apart like everything I've done the last year and starting from the ground up. Because when I started this catering company, I did it with the idea that like I knew I could make good food, and if I offered good food at like a ridiculously cheap price, that I'd have no choice but to be busy. And I was right. Oh my God, was I? But I think that we have enough positive feedback now. We're starting to get enough notoriety where I can start kind of doing things the way I had always envisioned them, preparing the meals that I would love to serve. Like I want to give people good food and a good product at a good value, but like there's just some things that like I'm happier to serve than others, and some things that I would eat. And I want to serve the food that people want to eat. So I'm really excited about that.
That is awesome. I have ups and downs with Dabble. We celebrate the sold out yard sale coming up this May. That is part of the Railroad Days, which I don't think it's going to be you there. I don't know if you're going to have a representative of Tasty Bits there, if poor Brian's going to be there trying to make food, but you're supposed to be there.
Yeah, you're right. I was supposed to be there, and that was my fault. I never should have committed to it because I was like, no, I'm available. I had nothing that weekend. I actually had a wedding for like 300 people that weekend, and now I have a wedding and I have a prom, so I will not be able to be there. I do apologize. I'm sorry to the mighty city of Durand. I know they want my cheesy train themed meals and names and stuff, but I can't. I apologize, but I think I'm going to try to get the space filled. I'll have Brian or someone there slinging tacos and nachos and quesadillas.
Well, it sounds good. Of course, we all wish it was you. And listeners coming to the fair, they were expecting to see the superstar we call Nick.
Well, I don't know if I'd call myself a superstar, but there is something, and I'm going to be totally honest, that I have come to terms with in the last year, because it's only been a year, is that everyone that wants to deal with my company and wants to deal with me, they want to deal with me. And that is really hard sometimes because as the company grows and as things expand, I'm only one person, and everyone, they hire me and they expect me to be at their event, but I can't always do that. I can't be the person that does everything and expect the company to grow. I've got to be able to delegate and, kind of allow people to help me and trust them to do the good job I know they can do. And that's hard for me. I'm a control freak, but I'm really hoping that I don't disappoint anyone, and I'm going to do the best I can to make everyone happy.
Well, and I have one more thing before we actually start the show. I saw this post on Facebook. Are you cheating on me? Is there another podcast out there that might have to do with food?
Not yet. There's not. There might be one though. I'm in the process of kind of jotting down notes and writing episodes, and not really episodes per se. I like talking about food, and I like talking to interesting people about what they like to eat and how they like to go out to eat. And what actually spawned this, I'll only take 30 seconds of your time, is that we had this big group of people come into the bar where I work part time, and they ate dinner, and then we had added a gratuity to their bill because they're such a large group and they don't honestly tip good at all. And so the new policy is that large groups have gratuity added. Have to worry about them tipping or not tipping because it's not fair for these 10 and 12 tops to run these servers ragged back and forth. And I need this, I need that. Oh, I need a beer, I need a shot, and they never want anything at the same time. Then to leave her like $2 or $3 on a $200 bill, it's not appropriate. She should be getting between 35 and $40 for that. And so I started thinking about it, and I'm like, what are people's expectations when they go out to eat? What do they have one set of expectations? I know that I'm kind of the black sheep, but I have a different set of expectations for every different kind of establishment you could think of because I don't expect I don't expect to go to McDonald's and get great service. I don't expect to go into a Coney Island and get fine dining service. Heck, if I go to a Coney Island and the waitress brings me my food on time and the order's right and she doesn't sit with me, I'm tickled.
Right.
It sounds mean, but I was just curious. So I did. I put a post up on Facebook to see who'd be interested in sitting down and talking about food. And apparently I expected 2 or 3 responses. I got a lot of them. But with that being said, I get the feeling there was a misunderstanding. I kind of think they all think I'm going to take them out to eat and then we're going to talk about it. And I thought I worded it specifically, very carefully, that it'd be easy to understand, but apparently I was wrong. So I haven't went any further with it. There are a couple people that commented on it that I intend on reaching out to, because even if I only do a few episodes, I think it'll be fun.
Okay. Well, I was just checking because it seemed like you were moving on, and I was getting a little nervous.
Listen, Michael, you moved on in 30 seconds. You found a replacement for me. I don't want to hear it.
But only for one episode.
Yeah, that's how it starts, Michael. It didn't mean anything to me. You don't understand. You never talk about my feelings. It's like prom all over again. I'm getting left.
And you knew who it was going to be. It's always Rob. Rob Bogan.
It's always a friend. That's how you know the cheating is coming. And yes, Rob Bogan is amazing. If anyone ever hears this, go check out the Curated Culture. He does amazing work. He's energetic and he's fun and he's super insightful. And I'm honored to even know him.
He's one of the most creative people I've ever met.
There's that too.
A absolutely awesome human being.
Yes, he is.
All right, with all my bones out of the closet and all that stuff being pushed aside now, we should probably talk about this holiday coming up. This single-use surrounded holiday.
Yeah, I think we should let the bunny out of the bag. I mean, there's no air in there, so they can't breathe. So, I mean, it's the nice thing to do.
Well, and so when you think about Easter, there's a handful of things you think about. Candy, chocolates, sugar candies, that grass that can kill your cat, the baskets that every year someone has to have another new basket of some kind, stuffed animals. There's a ton of things that are common. That last second run into Meijer's and grab whatever you can find gift.
You didn't name the one thing I expected you to. The one thing that bugs me more than anything in the world.
What is that?
Plastic Easter egg hunts. I hate them. I hate them so much it's not funny. The reason I hate them is for just 2 reasons. One, you never seem to find all the eggs, or the children never find all the eggs you purchased and have hidden. The other reason I dislike them so much is that if you don't find the eggs, they're just going to sit in your yard and just sit there and destroy the environment. They're not going to go bad, and they're just going to sit there and rot and be crushed. And it's horrid. I don't know. I can't believe you didn't say that. You forgot the eggs, Michael.
Well, and you're right, because to this day, Jameson still hides eggs in the house and makes the kids hunt for them, including our now driving Aiden.
Oh, I bet you he is just, I could just see it now. I suppose he's got his head down, rolling his eyes, dragging his feet and hands. Or he's already scoped out everything and he goes, like, how many do I have to get? Boom, boom, here you go. I'm done. Drops them and leaves.
And then gives them to the younger ones with whatever's inside.
That's the height of the curly hair, man.
But she still does it to this day. By the way, I was just looking at my notes while you were talking. I listed the baskets, the grass, and at the end, I didn't read it. Plastic eggs.
Yeah, that's right. You didn't read it. You really broke the yoke on that one, Mike. I expect
I,
you to shell it out, and you didn't do anything.
yeah. Well, you win some, you lose some. But you have all these stuffed animals. There's like a ton of like basic things that people grab just by default. I don't think it's ever really thought. I think it's just they walk into a store. I need some items because the calendar says so. They grab a certain amount, whatever they can afford, which I have a number here on average, and I'll get to it in a little bit. But they grab it, they leave, they give it to the person. They have fulfilled their obligation.
See, I agree with that to a point, but I think that with the dominance of stores like Walmart and Meijer, and when you go into them at especially this time of year, because Easter's on Sunday, they have these numbers of different baskets, and the baskets are stuffed based on the price point they're sold at. So you'll have like $10, $20, 30, 40, $100 baskets, and the more expensive they are, the bigger they are. So you got your toys and your junk and your candy in this weird woven basket with all that plastic fake Easter grass, and the whole thing is wrapped in plastic with a plastic price tag, sit in a plastic shelf. Like, oh my god, I could go on for hours, but that's what most people do. Very few people I actually go through and like really build their own anymore for their kids. And I'll be honest, what I have found, I think, is the coolest thing to do for children when it comes to Easter. Instead of doing baskets, because I think that I think the whole premise of a rabbit that lays eggs is ridiculous. But with the baskets, even dumber. What I like to do, and Heather and I have been doing this for some time now, is we'll find something the kids can use throughout the year. Like more often, it's one of those cube organizer tote things, or it'll be like a big popcorn bucket, and everything that goes in there are things. I mean, there's a lot of food, but a lot of it can be used throughout the year. So we don't buy Easter grass. Like I tried vacuuming out of the carpet one time. We don't buy it.
It's dangerous for your animals too, by the way.
It is terrible. You ever seen a dog like scrape her butt across the floor for 20 feet trying to get a piece out? It's disgusting.
Well, and dangerous.
Yeah,
But
it's definitely dangerous.
Well, and I think we've done it before with trash cans where we put a few things and it's usually like Aiden would get men's body wash and a cooler deodorant and a few candy items, and then a thing of pencils that he'll use that he likes to draw, those kinds of things. I think we've done that kind of stuff too. But I know you're going to be shocked. I pulled some numbers.
Hold on. You pulled numbers?
It's been a few weeks since I've been able to just
Ooh.
pull some numbers and talk some stats.
I don't know, Mike. You say it's been a few weeks. Listen, you do spreadsheets for free time. You're bored. You're like, oh, I got to get out of Excel. I got time. And you start putting stuff together and whatnot. So I don't know. I'm not surprised you pulled numbers out.
Okay, first things first, Excel is like a game. It's fun. It's a blast. You can do amazing things with Excel.
Tetris is a game.
You know what it's almost time to do? It's almost time to use Excel to map out my whole garden.
That's weird, but okay.
And if you don't think that's true, just ask Jameson.
Well, I'm sure it's true.
The moment I show her the first time, I see her less until I plant. Because I jostle it around, make some changes. Oh, hun, you got to see this new configuration, and she does not want to see the new configuration.
No, it's because the new configuration means you moved one pea and one tomato.
And I think this year I might even do multiple tabs and have the edible landscape project integrated into Excel.
Ooh, you'll have multiple tabs. Fancy.
I do like Excel, and I use it for just about everything. That is true. Anyways, Easter related cost just in the United States. Easter related cost $21.6 billion with a B.
That is what? Like you said, how many billion?
$21.6 billion in Easter related items.
That's like 400 million per state. Right? That's about close. Like 430 million or something.
It is a ton of money that goes into the financial system, into our economy, purely from this one holiday, which, let's face it, I know it's based on a religious holiday, but almost everybody celebrates it in some way.
Okay, just a side note, it is 420 million. You're welcome. I had to do the math.
Getting all Rain Man.
Kmart sucks. Okay. But that's insane. Just for the the chocolate egg poop and Easter holiday.
Oh yeah, and so I broke this down. It's not necessarily in order. So I have some stats, and then I have some financial stuff, and then some general stats. Just in Easter clothing, just in new clothes for that day. Fast fashion's a problem to begin with, but just because of Easter, Americans will spend $3.6 billion on new outfits purely for Easter.
Okay, to be fair, those numbers, of all the numbers you're going to tell me, that one doesn't shock me as much because Easter Sunday is a big church holiday. So people are buying new clothes to go to church. Then afterwards, it's Sunday dinner is a big thing. So they want to look good for Sunday dinner and pictures. And that actually makes kind of sense. It's not like they're all going out buying rabbit costumes and stuff. So I continue, but I'm not as shocked and appalled at that one.
For me, I never had that as a kid. We didn't go buy new outfits. We didn't do those things. Jamie, on the other hand, got a new Easter dress every year. They did follow those. So for me, it seems like a outlandish number, but we also didn't live that life.
Are you upset that you didn't get a new dress every year?
No,
Okay.
I would look
Just wanted to
really
verify.
bad in a dress.
I don't know. I remember the powder puff days. You were a burner.
Oh, thank goodness that cell phones didn't have cameras, or there wasn't even cell phones. Now I think about it.
No, but Polaroids existed.
Oh boy. So Easter dinner or food. This includes candy. Easter dinner or food. So people going out to dinner, the food in the baskets, whatever they bought for special holiday dinner.
Oh, this is going to be like $12.5, $13 billion. Easy.
Then you're going to be very sad to find out it's 6.3 billion.
I'm offended.
And almost half of it is chocolate alone.
You can't call that crap chocolate. I almost swore again.
You could go for a twofer. Is
You're
this
welcome.
a tipsy Nick moment?
This is not a tipsy Nick moment. If this was any later, it might have been a stone Nick moment, but it's not a tipsy Nick moment.
Because you were talking about a campfire and some things were interrupting here.
Yeah, so there is a fire going on outside where the kids are burning. So we had a lot of trees come down and limbs over like the windstorms we've had this end of winter and stuff. I didn't realize how bad it was until I walked in the backyard. Oh, we're having a fire today. Like it's a lot of them.
Yep. So I was just checking, just making sure because you just about thrown out your second swear for the night.
No, I'm just so happy to be here, Michael. I'm overflowing with sarcasm and cheekiness.
Fair enough. I'll take it. Let's see. The next thing is Easter gifts. 3.7 billion in Easter gifts.
Oh, that makes sense. Lots of jewelry, husbands getting their fiancés and wives, or both.
Right.
Something nice and shiny to wear to Easter dinner, Easter service.
Well, and I found it was interesting to see the average American spends $180 on Easter.
That's it?
So that tells you how widespread Easter is. It's not necessarily just a religious holiday. It is really celebrated. It's celebrated by basically everybody. That drives that average down.
It's the same thing with Christmas. It's not really they're not really celebrated in mass for religious purposes. Now, I'm not trying to offend anyone. Yes, there are, the hardcore people that do practice for this for religious purposes, but in general, like everyone buys their kids Easter presents. Like you said, it's $180 a family. I'm guessing the average is a 3-child household with about $60 per kid.
Well, I found some interesting other stats to go with some of these. So I'm going to jump over to them.
Hit me with the big guy.
60% of parents that were polled, and I think this was People Magazine, polled, plan to send their children Easter baskets even after they move out.
Can I get on those lists? And I would like my Easter basket to be like made by like the tote company as like a laundry basket, maybe full of cleaning supplies. I'd appreciate that.
I got to tell you the honest truth here. I never considered mailing my children more Easter things when they moved out. It never crossed my mind. Never once. It
doesn't cross any dad's mind.
Well, apparently it crosses 60% of parents.
Yeah. You know who's married to those 60% of dads? Their wives. The motherly instinct. Oh, this is for my baby. He needs it.
This is gonna be what Jamie does, isn't it?
Yeah.
She's going to mail them Easter baskets.
She sure is. Or she's going to be like, we need to go on a trip. And she's going to buy Easter stuff, fill the back of your car or your truck, and you're going to drive halfway across the country to say surprise and give them Easter.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Next one. I didn't put the unit of measurement here, but
Oh,
they're
no.
okay. 91 million chocolate bunnies will be sold in the United States every year, or at least this year.
Okay, so I have a question.
Mhm.
When you read these stats, does that include the day after Easter half off sales?
I have no. I believe it counts for all Easter sales,
So
so
it
I
probably
would assume so.
so are these like maybe manufacturing numbers, like how many they sell in bulk to these big box stores?
Likely.
Okay, because I say that because this is what happens. Kids get Easter bunnies. Parents go back to the store the day after Easter and they buy more chocolate that are not for the children. Now, I do not like hollow bunnies, but you know where I get are those, I think they're called robin's eggs. It's a Whopper shaped like an egg with the yummy candy coating on the outside. Oh, they're delicious. I love them.
So before we go to this next thing, there's two things of when it comes to Easter that kind of get me. Cadbury eggs are one of them. I really do like Cadbury eggs, although I think they're getting smaller and smaller and smaller, or I'm just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I don't know which, but I now need two instead of one. The other thing is jelly beans. So first of all, 16 billion packages of jelly beans, enough to circle the earth 3 times, will be sold this Easter. Now, one thing I'd like to tell everybody, because I like to sell myself out here a little bit, I like jelly beans, but I can only eat them 5 at a time and they have to be the same color.
That's very specific.
It is. I had a friend of ours when I worked a long time ago at H&R Block who separated bags of jelly beans for me, and so that I could have them 5 at a time. And that the amount of jelly beans that were in there were in it, they broke out in 5s. So there would not be extra ones. Like if they're in a bowl, I would eat them 5 at a time at the same color until there was 4 or less of each color.
So, okay, to be fair, I always forget jelly beans are a thing for Easter. Mainly because I don't like them, but B, I don't like. So this is the kind of the idea. Like you get an Easter basket full of Easter grass. Parents like open jelly beans for some reason and sprinkle it in there. So you've got to like pan through the grass for little bits of candy. It's just horrible. Like they might as well just instead of using Easter grass, use cotton candy so the whole thing's edible and just take it up by the fist. I mean, it's gross. I do not like jelly beans at all. At
I
all.
do, but
I'm
I only do it with jelly beans and anything with separate flavors. So Skittles, for an example, or gummy bears or anything gummies. I have to separate all of them by their color and then eat them all as the same color. I don't like mixing the flavors. M&M's perfectly fine because they're not separate flavors.
Yeah, you think that, but that's not always true. They sell a oh god, what's it called? A party pack or a I don't remember what it's called. They sell a pack of M&Ms that are peanut M&Ms, peanut butter M&Ms, white chocolate M&Ms, white chocolate peanut M&Ms, white chocolate peanut butter M&Ms, and you just grab a handful. It's whatever you get is what you get.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy those.
I love them.
So now here's a stat that I think is low, and I think you might agree with me too.
Possibly.
Only 81% of parents are going to steal candy from the baskets.
Only 81.
I really feel like that's 100%. I don't know
I
any parent who doesn't at least sneak a piece.
I feel like if you're not stealing the candy from your kids, you're not buying the right candy.
Right.
Because like ultimately this is what happens. Adults want the best for their kids. So when it comes to buying things they know their kids aren't shouldn't have a lot of, they just buy what they want and eat it anyway. So it's 81 seems low. It does seem very low.
It
Like if it
does
was
seem
if yeah, it's low.
okay. So here's a fun one. What's the most expensive chocolate bunny ever created?
Is that a real question?
It's a real question. I have an answer.
Let's see. Not sure if it was a rabbit or not. Let me think. Give me a second before you ruin this for me.
Most expensive chocolate bunny.
$2,540.
Not even remotely close.
Okay, go on.
$49,000 because its eyes were made of diamonds. Just over a carat per eye. $49,000 chocolate bunny, and hopefully the person you buy it for doesn't accidentally eat the eyes.
Yeah, they'll come out eventually.
You thought it was bad to pan for candy in the grass of the basket. That would be immensely worse.
We are not going to get into the conversation about what I think about the value of hardened carbon. Okay, we're going to leave that out.
Well, we have a show about that, don't we?
We do. We could just flush that down the toilet where it stays.
The last, or no, it's not the last stat. One of the last few stats, the amount of peeps sold.
Oh God,
Yeah.
I hope not a lot. They're so gross.
1.5 billion packages of this
It-
gooey, this gooey like sugar thing.
1.5 billion packages are sold and 1.49 billion packages are thrown away. So it's probably like, what is that left? 100 million of them that are probably consumed by kids that don't know any better or parents they didn't buy them better candy.
One of my favorite, I don't know if anybody who listens to this listens to people like John and Hank Green, but they used to, if they screwed up in their blog went over 3 minutes, they were punished. And Hank one time had to give away 100 peeps. And he lives in a college town in Montana. He's thinking, not a problem. This is easy. And whatever he can't give away, he has to donate a certain amount of money per peep to their, I think it was to Stop World Suck. I think was the thing then. And he had a heck of a time. Because first of all, he's just walking up to strangers like, will you please take these peeps? And a couple of college kids ate a few, but he ended up having to eat the whatever he couldn't give up. And he only could do like 12. I think he ate 12 of them, which to me is about 12 too many.
I can't. I don't like marshmallows at all. Like I can stomach like a s'more every now and then, but I despise like in general just the texture. Ugh, no.
Well, and anybody who knows me knows that I buy marshmallows all the time, but we fling them around the room with catapults and things that we build in STEM class. We use them as joints with spaghetti to build towers.
Which are all better options than eating them.
I believe that is true. All right, what else we got here? 10 million egg dye kits sold per year.
That's
and
actually
180 million eggs purchased just for Easter.
That's it?
That's a lot of freaking eggs.
It is, but okay, so when you were talking about the chocolate bunny, the reason I had asked like if this was including day after sales or if this was like for Easter specifically is because I was equating that to a couple, like 2 bunnies a family or something. If even at 3 bunnies a family, it gives you 33 million families, and at 30 million families or so, that would give them maybe like a half dozen eggs dyed per household. Like that's not a lot. We used to dye a dozen at least.
No, it's 180 million eggs. And I think that's just them taking how many eggs sell on a regular basis versus this time of year. It's just kind of an average number. But that is, to me, it still seems it's a lot of eggs. I didn't know a lot of people still dyed eggs, really, because with all the plastic ones and everything else, I thought they'd all move to those, which it's better to have an actual egg and then use it.
Well, it is because they're still edible. You could actually, if you put them in the yard and actually look for them, I guess not. But like, if you were just to dye the eggs for the activity of doing it with your kids, you could still eat them.
Yeah. Or, you used to do you blow the egg out and make the shell hollow, but you still have the egg. You blow it out, you make scrambled eggs that day.
Yeah, that's an option.
Okay. We've talked numbers, we've talked the scale of the holiday. I think it's another one of those really big holidays where just has turned into mass consumerism.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
And the first thing that I put on here to start trying to curb some of these was the very first thing you said. Leave the basket out. Pick something that is usable. Pick something that you need. If you need new laundry baskets, then everybody gets a new laundry basket. And that's what everything goes into. Or for us, it was trash cans for the bedrooms.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are all great options.
So skip the baskets. Unless you're getting a basket from a local supplier who weaves their own and you're going to keep it for decor reasons or use the same basket on a regular basis or even just the same basket yearly. So we're not buying those really flimsy dyed baskets because we start talking about the embodied energy. Just the dyes alone that go into making those baskets is a massive amount of energy. So if we just use the same basket year over year, that's another advantage. Jamie does have those plastic eggs and she recollects them and uses the same ones year over year over year. If you're going to use them, that's how you use them.
Well, yeah. And so the thing when I think about baskets, the new style baskets I don't care for. Now, when I was really young, I mean really little, we had a couple Easters where we had actual woven baskets, not the plastic ones, but like actual, like I don't know what they're made out of, some kind of wood or wicker. But and those aren't quite as bad. You can use those in home decorating. You could actually pot plants in those. Like there's a number of things you can do with them that give them a life after Easter. And those I don't mind them per se. When I worked at Black Forest, we had a ton of baskets like that. We used them as like rolls.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd put a nice linen in them, and we'd tie a big bow on the top that matches the color of the weddings, and we'd fill them with rolls on the buffet. And they were kind of cute. I mean, they weren't the greatest thing in the world, but they were cheap and they were functional.
Well, and that's the concept. Either use something that is a gift, because like the trash can, in a sense, is a gift, or use something that can be used year over year over year over year. That isn't what we're getting right now at the large big box stores. We're getting something that is going to break and fall apart within minutes of them using it. Those will never survive to the following year.
Oh
So
yeah, not at all.
it's better to find other things to set your holiday gifts in.
I was gonna say back on the shelf and don't buy it, but that's just me.
Yeah. And plus the value wise, really think about the value of those prepackaged systems that they have there. They're very, very inexpensive items that you would have seen at a dollar store. The plastic molds for using to make sandcastles, these very inexpensive items that they're trying to make look grandiose and charge you $50 for. This is all much easier to accommodate. We can do better than this.
Well, absolutely. I think that my favorite Easter when I was a kid that I remembered, I mean, like, I think maybe it was the last one actually that my mom got us stuff. But I think I was going into being a teenager, and instead of having an Easter basket, I mean, she got us something. It wasn't like a basket, but instead of buying us a bunch of or getting us something that was pre-made, she got us each a gift thing, something she knew we'd like or we'd use. And then she got us the candy we'd like, but it wasn't a ton of stuff. It was one item and then a little bit of junk food. And like I was Pokemon Sapphire version for the Game Boy Advance. I remember it like it was yesterday. And that's the only Easter gift I remember my entire life. And I think that it's part of it. It actually, she bought something that pertained to me that she knew I'd enjoy. It wasn't just some cheapo, here's this season's collaboration of junk.
Well, and I think that's part of it is reducing the amount of treats and putting a few things that are usable in there. For Aiden, who's 16, getting him a new aftershave or getting him a new cologne, along with, he likes jogging pants. So something like that. If you're going to give a gift that's usable and usable for as long of a period as possible. And even though when you look at embodied energy, and I just said clothing and I just said cologne or aftershave, it still leaps and bounds better than chocolate and all the garbage that gets thrown away. Especially that grass and all the other stuff. There's better ways of doing this. Give things, if you're going to care enough to give something that they'll like and use. And it's okay, and you throw a treat in there. Now, I prefer we don't do it, and I've done it a couple of times in the past, but tried to get candies from local candy shops, which is becoming more and more hard to find.
Yeah, local candy shops aren't near as common as I'd like them to be, and it hurts my heart. But on the same token, like candy is expensive, and it's a skill. It's expensive to make, and it's a true skill, just like being a chocolatier. And keep in mind, when you say candy shop, I don't equate that with making chocolate. I mean, yes, chocolate is a form of candy, but it's also they're art forms in their own. And generally, one person that makes candies doesn't do chocolates.
Okay. Well, I think of like when we go to Frankenmuth, where there's so many different shops that make so many different things.
Yeah, have you actually sat there and watched them make the hard candies?
I've watched the taffy machine do its little cartwheels over and over again. I have seen them working fudge, but I have not seen the hard candies.
Well, it's almost like both processes for those two types and like the same thing. So the hard candy starts off super hot, like it looks like taffy. And it starts off as that white color, and they start adding colors to it and working it, and stretching it and working it. And next thing you know, it's ready to be stretched off and molded into the shape they want. It's really cool to watch. There used to be a series called How It's Made, and they would just pick a random item at a store, like a cupcake or a piece of bread or like a piece of candy, and they do a little mini documentary series on how that item was made. And candy's really cool to watch. I really enjoy it.
Which, don't get that confused with the YouTube series of How It's Really Made, which Isaac just introduced us to, which is not child appropriate.
No, it's not. It's not at all.
So, moving forward, the whole concept is try to use as many reusable items as humanly possible, things that can be used within the household. And if you're going to do eggs, but make it part of breakfast, make it part of lunch. Use those eggs that you're going to color because you can. Then there isn't any waste. You can even still take those dyed eggs, eggshells, and put them in the garden.
You can. And I do want to just throw this out there. You don't actually have to use pre-made dyes to dye your food. You can use different spices and seasonings. You can use turmeric to make yellow dye. You can use beet juice to make like a purple dye. You could take oh Lord have mercy, purple cabbage and boil it and turn the water blue and reduce it and turn that into a dye. There's lots of natural things you can do to dye your food. You don't have to go buy a pre-made dye.
Which, by the way, I didn't know that, and that is perfect. That is way better to do that in that manner than it is to buy the dye kits. One of the things I talked about was the local treats. I'm debating on, we have friends opening that or reopening their donut shop, and that's another thing that we could do here is instead of having a ton of treats in there, have a favorite donut along with a few other items, and it helps the local business and it still gets them a treat.
You're right. It does. And just to throw this out there, because I'm a big advocate of that donut shop, they don't just sell donuts. They sell donuts and scones and bagels, cookies, muffins. Like they have a lot of great products.
They do. They do. And I want to be able to support them. So even, cupcakes, something from your local companies that can really help them out and help you and your family out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we already know, don't go to the large retailers. If you're going to buy things, get them local. It's just whatever you can find local is always going to be immensely better than hitting the big box stores. The big box stores should be becoming obsolete, just like malls are. Malls are slowly dying, and once they die, it's going to be the big box store next.
I completely agree. The thing about malls, malls are slowly dying, but people don't realize what's really happening to them. It's not just the mall. The mall is a dying organ of a bigger system. Malls are put in these huge cities that have got tons of people, and they're great because there's tons of people, and it's an easy shopping center. Well, when those towns and those cities don't have the industry and the economy to support the people anymore, the people leave and the business dies. So malls become a thing of the past. People that are left just order online because why would they want to go walk for miles and miles in a mall to go to one store when Amazon has it for the same price or cheaper?
Okay, so the last thing is I know it's different for every place you live, but make it an event. I know a friend of mine they would all go to a movie on Easter, or depending on the weather in your area, do a picnic, do something as a family, go do something. Doesn't always have to be the store-bought cookie cutter, same as everybody else thing. You could just easily make a nice meal and take it to the park and all spend a day.
Absolutely. I think that quality time is better than, quantities of dimes. I think if you're going to take time to make memories and enjoy each other's company, have conversations and forge, or reforge strong family bonds, it's way better than just blowing money on useless crap that's just going to get thrown away anyways.
Yeah, I mean, take the time to build a memory. Like you said, the only Easter you remember was something just different.
Mm-hmm.
So there's value in creating a memory. And as I get older, and I get it, when we get older, we get softer. And I'm starting to see where taking that minute, taking that couple of hours really matters. It's that memory they're going to hang on to even when you're not here.
Absolutely. And that's coming for all of us. We want to make as many imprints and positive ways there as our loved ones as we can while we're here.
I agree. So I'm sure I have missed a ton of things, but shows can only be so long. And honestly, sometimes they're getting a little longer than we want sometimes. So I've been trying to trim them down a bit.
That's your opinion.
So a couple of things. Thank you for all of the comments recently. And I've had some really, really positive feedback from some listeners. And it really does make me feel good because sometimes the grind of trying to do a bunch of things, sometimes even the grind of doing the job of having this podcast leads us sometimes to put out something that we're worried isn't quite as good as the other or vice versa. And it is pretty darn cool to hear people contacting us and saying, hey man, this one rocked.
That is always awesome to hear. I really enjoyed the feedback, and if nothing else, it's nice to know that our ramblings are not going unheard. People are actually listening and they're paying attention. It makes me feel good.
Well, on top of the fact that you're not even seeing all of them right now because people have started friending my personal Facebook.
Oh, then spread the wealth, Michael. Let me know.
So
I like to feel
it
good.
is starting to, I get those personal messages, and it really is something. It is really quite cool. It is really quite cool to get those personal messages. So thank you, all of you who take the time to let us know that you're enjoying what you're hearing. Now, if you like this episode, share it with a friend or on social media. That's a great way to spread realistic sustainability to others. You can also support realistic sustainability by becoming a monthly sustainer. You can do that on our Anchor hosting site, or just simply visiting greeningyourlife.org/podcast. If you can't do either of those, that's perfectly fine. Just leave us a 5-star review or any interaction. Click a like, click a follow. Just let the system know that you're listening to us. We do greatly appreciate it. And let's be honest, we only get together each week so that we can get a little bit better. Little bit, little bit. Well, someday it becomes a big bit. Thank you again for listening. I'm Mike.
And I'm Nick.
And we will see you next week. Hi, this is Mike, co-host of Realistic Sustainability, the podcast, which you probably already know, but I'm also the author of A Beginner's Guide to Greening Your Life. That was the book that led to our Facebook page, our Facebook group, and, well, even this show. It offers tips on promoting your positive footprint while decreasing your carbon footprint. So if you want to read what started all of this, get A Beginner's Guide to Greening Your Life, available on Amazon, eBay, Etsy, or just visit greeningyourlife.org for more information. Thank you for joining the sustainable movement and promoting a greener future.